First, let's take a look at the characteristics of metal. Shiny metal, no matter what color it is, has the same characteristics from one color to another. So what we need to do is take a look at those right now so that those are some of the things that you know to look out for. Because a lot of people think metal is very difficult to do, probably because it's shiny and it's reflective, but it isn't all that hard to do, and actually most of the time it's pretty easy. There's one thing I do want you to think about, and that is get rid of these metallic colored pencils right now. We don't even want to talk about those, okay? So now those are out of the way and I can talk about the metal. Let's take a look at the different kinds of metal that I have here. The same characteristics run from one to the other. First of all, anything reflected in the metal will have sharp edges. So any objects, lights, whatever, reflected in the metal surface will be hard-edged. So okay, we've got that. Metal runs a group of values that go from very dark to very light. The lightest highlights on metal may be white. They may be slightly metal colored, but they'll be very high in value, and usually somewhere on the metal will be some dark value that's black or almost black, or a version of colored black, let's say, or enriched black. Okay, so we have a range of values from dark to light. We have hard-edged reflections. We have sharp-edged highlights that may be white or very nearly white depending on the metal. And we've got things that are reflected in the metal being distorted to follow the contours of that piece of metal itself. When we get to the other metals, we're going to be doing brass and gold, and we're going to be doing copper. I can start with this black grape color when I do all three colored metals, and it works as a good base color to begin with. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to begin putting in some of my other colors of gray. You see I have my cool grays out here and my French grays out here, and I'm going to go ahead and begin thinking about where those colors might be. I can begin to see some cool gray in here, so I can begin to put that in. I can also put some cool gray down around on the actual apple itself where the white paper has begun to reflect into it. So I can start that with cool gray. I can even add the French gray to that color. I've done that before, and I'll show you how that works. Just take some of the warm gray or the French gray and add that right to the cool gray, and it still makes a nice gray color. It doesn't do anything really bizarre, but it really makes a nice color there. So I have the French gray now, and I also see that there is a nice warm gray area right here, so I can go ahead and start putting the warm gray right in there. And that area just goes all the way across and blends right into this area. The thing you need to remember when you are working with the metal and the reflections is to watch those reflections, see what the shape of them happens to be, and then just go ahead and put that same shape right on your picture. Don't think about the fact that it's metal. Don't think about what it is necessarily. Look at the reflection right where you're working on it and just draw those little abstract shapes. All right, let's take a look at brass now. Now we have the added complication of the color of the metal interfering possibly with the colored reflections. But first of all, we have to talk about how to get that metal started. So I, again, have given you some formulas for the beginning of choices of colors that you might choose for brass, for gold, and for bronze. And you can see that they're different in some cases. Of course, they are going to differ from brand to brand. And I like to start, if I'm using Prismacolor, I like to start with black grape for my dark color, so I have some color in the darkest reflection, or the darkest parts of the metal, the darkest values. The other brands don't have that black grape, so sometimes if I'm using the harder pencils, the Faber-Castells, I will start with dark sepia and add some walnut to it. And if I'm using Caran d'Ache, I will start with a dark brown called umber and then add a little bistre. So It just kind of depends from brand to brand how you choose your colors, what their names will be. But basically we're doing the same thing. We're starting with some darks so that we can have the really low end of the value range, and then we're moving to the lighter colors, and you don't have to put them all in again. You just want to choose the ones that you need. The reason the bronze looks different is that bronze to me looks a little brownish and pinkish, so that's why those colors are here. It may not look that way to you, but again, this is a good starting point. So when I would do the scissors, I would start with either black grape, dark sepia, or umber to put in the darks, because I want to begin to establish some of the color of the metal as I'm doing that. And then as I go to the lighter colors, I'll move down in here to some of these lighter colors. I'm working with brass now or gold, and these scissors were silver to begin with, but it didn't matter. Once I put the lights and darks in with the right foundation color, then all I have to do is add the color of the metal to that, watching the lights and darks again. So if I wanted to make these scissors blue metallic, I could do that. Once I get the shiny spots in, the hard-edged reflections, the little bit of distortion in the blades, and the way your brain and your eyes see those values and those reflections and highlights, your brain says it's metal. It doesn't matter what color it is, it will look metallic. And it's those hard-edged reflections and highlights, the bright highlights, and the big range of values that really do that.